We are talking some LSU recruiting because I got my guy Shea Dixon from the Bengal Tiger. He's here in Nashville, so why not? There's a big weekend coming up. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But Shea, there were so many ups and downs with the LSU recruiting cycle in 2025. We've moved beyond that. LSU currently has a top 5 class in 2026, 6 commitments so far, but no quarterbacks yet. So I want to talk to you about Joe Sloan's top QB targets, and we'll start. Well, they're all flips, and here they are. We got Jake Fetty here at the top, Arizona State quarterback commitment. Is this a name that LSU fans need to know?
Josh, I would argue that at this stage, in January is an evaluation period, right? So Joe Sloan and coaches are out on the road seeing all these prospects. That'll shut down this week. I think that when the dust settles, Jake Fetty will maybe emerge as the top target here. He's an El Paso kid, so he's in Texas. Arizona State obviously did have a great season, but they're not going to let up on recruiting him. So when you look at a group of guys, quarterback dominoes fall early. No shock that the majority of these guys are committed somewhere. And they had the Underwood commitment all the way till December. So now it's like, okay, time to start over beyond the Faison Brandons of the world.
Right.
And I think Jake Fetty is the name we're going to watch maybe most closely moving forward.
All right, so looking at the rest of the field here, we got Jonas Williams. He's committed to Oregon. We got Keyshawn Henderson. He's committed to Houston. We got Dia Bell, who is committed to Texas, firmly so. He said so right here on the On3 Recruits channel last week. How do you kind of grade the field here? Who's a priority?
I think all of them right now, until you figure out which ones are kind of really interested, where things stand with NIL, how that comes into play. And then these kids are from all over the country. That's why I usually like to focus on border states with LSU. They do very well there. In Texas, Jake Fetty, and then Keyshawn Henderson as well. He is committed to Houston, but we'll see if that will last for Willie Fritz and company.
Yeah.
He's going to obviously become more and more of a national name as
He is
as guys get as coaches get an eye on him. But he has an offer, so he's one to continue to watch. And Jonas Williams, Dia Bell, these are guys who had been to campus, thrown last summer. He's been recruiting them for a while, but they pop for other schools. But you don't give up, because we saw it with Underwood. But even then, with the portal, you recruit kids all the way through, because if they ever hit the portal, they're coming right back to answer the phone for the coaches who kind of stayed with them till the end.
Yeah. So you're right. In this Keyshawn Henderson recruitment, he's gaining offers. I think Florida State, Georgia in the past 10 days have jumped in this one. Kind of looks like the Keelan Russell recruitment of the 2026 cycle, possibly. Commits real early to Houston. They got a really good quarterback, but can they hold on to him? So we'll see. All right, so those are some of the top targets. Quarterback recruiting only going to heat up for LSU. But let's talk about what's happening in the Bayou this weekend. We got a big junior day. Some of the names we're tracking, these are some big ones, Shea. Who do you think fans need to keep an eye on?
2 Baton Rouge kids, I know that in this current class, 2026, that everybody's focused on, both sides of the ball, would be Blaine Bradford and Lamar Brown. Blaine Bradford is the #1 safety in the country on 3. Lamar Brown is 1 or 2 in terms of interior offensive lineman. He plays D-line as well at U-High. That's been kind of a thought of which way would he go. Maybe he's leaning O-line. But both those guys have visited everyone. I mean, they have taken the kind of who's who tour of college stops as they were juniors and sophomores. So entering the spring of their junior year, I think both of them are realizing, all right, it's time to start taking it seriously and getting Bradford and Lamar Brown on campus for junior days, when a lot of teams are having events this weekend. Keeping them there, I think, is big. With Lamar Brown, I think it's LSU A&M battle. We'll see. And then with Bradford, he's been into Notre Dame. I wouldn't count out Oregon, who he just visited. And then LSU, obviously, being the local school. And Jacob Bradford, his brother, just signed with LSU this past cycle. So those are 2 big local names we're keeping an eye on. As you mentioned, they've got a great start to the 2026 class, and I think it's almost entirely kids from Louisiana, unless it's maybe one not from Louisiana, but that's where they want to start, and might as well continue to add with it Baton Rouge pieces.
And wide receiver Jabari Mackey's from Louisiana as well. We talked about him on the Inside Scoop earlier this week, or on Sunday, because he was at Texas.
Yeah.
So this weekend, really important visit. He's going to be back at LSU. Where do you think the Tigers stand with him?
I'd go back to he goes to Destrehan, and Destrehan kids don't leave very often for schools that aren't LSU. Justin Jefferson, all of his brothers, obviously, went to Destrehan, and they signed Jace Thomas out of Destrehan this past cycle. The year prior, they signed a couple of players out of Destrehan. So, yeah, I think that they're in good shape there. Looking at kind of his recruitment, which has been national. He's had 30 offers since he started playing there, but still been a top 50 player, and I think a major priority for them.
All right. Is Texas probably the biggest threat right now?
It's funny. A&M had been the team that LSU was battling beyond Bama for recruits, and it would be East Texas kids usually or into Louisiana. That shifted when Texas joined the SEC because Texas started playing you can play in the SEC card. And now this past cycle, we saw it. LSU and Texas were flipping guys and going back and forth. So, yeah, I do think that we've mentioned them a couple of times now. A&M, yes, with Lamar Brown. But I think Texas is a school that LSU fans are going to start talking about a lot more.
Yeah, we're seeing it. All right, so let's wrap it up with this. LSU fans are going to be all over the Bengal Tiger this weekend, checking out all the action from Junior Day. Who do you think, is there anybody that you would put on commit watch for this weekend?
I always lean towards underclassmen because often they can pop, and guys who are, 20,
not as much pressure on them.
Yeah, right. And you can still take your time and do everything. And a guy I think I fits that bill is Ahmad Hudson, who Steve Wiltfong put in the first on 3 RPM pick for this week in favor of LSU. His dad played basketball at LSU. He's a 2-sport star at Ruston, but tight end, wide receiver, can jump out the gym. We're seeing it right now with Trey Green at LSU. Had a breakout freshman year, 5-star, 2 touchdowns in the bowl game, and then all of a sudden he's getting in the game versus Bama at Bama in a basketball game, throwing down dunks. So Ahmad Hudson is that type of athlete, and they'll certainly be pushing for his commitment. And we'll see where the future takes him, but wide receiver, tight end is what he's going to end up.
All right, there you go, LSU fans. How cool is this? Shea Dixon at the desk with us here in Nashville.